okay? You want to let me know? I see Nick, you're here. Thank you so much for stopping by. So, welcome to my very first solo live stream on my channel. Um, Hopefully, this goes well. I just have one topic that I want to talk about today because I've never done this solo before and I really don't understand what I'm doing. So, be patient with me. Um, One thing I did want to point out is I constantly am talking about on my channel. Oh, it says it's a little bit low. Turn up the gain. Check, check. Am I good? Okay, I'm gonna go and do this. I didn't want to be like screeching in your guys' ears. How's that? I think that should sound okay. The levels look okay. I did a test stream earlier to see what it would sound like, and it sounded okay. More. Here. How's that? More. Okay, Osis, we know you always want more, so I'm going to only give you as much as I can. I don't want to pick up too much background noise as well, because my dog is sitting there chewing on his toy behind the screen here, so I don't want you guys to hear it. Anyway, I am always touting on my channel about doing things that scare you and things that make you nervous and things that are difficult. So today I decided to do something by myself that is, I don't know, kind of terrifying, putting myself out there live by myself with no editing or anything like that. Just don't want to max out my volume. Okay, sorry. Hopefully that's okay for you guys. Looks like it's not clipping or anything like that. I learned a new word, clipping. So anyway, first live stream. Welcome. I'll stop with the preamble. I picked a quick little topic today that is something that, of course, is near and dear to my heart and something that I talk about all the time on my videos and that I've talked about on other live streams that I've been on for other people. And it is this article here. Now, this article is very old when it comes to, there we go. When it comes to internet world, it came out August 17th. So that's like ancient news when it comes to covering things that pop up on the internet. Usually you're supposed to do this like the day it pops out, but hey, I'm here. Anyhow, I didn't want to go over the article because I'm sure you guys have seen it before. I'm sure that you've watched other videos that have covered it. Other streamers have done a very good job of talking deeply about the concept and about what she's talking about in here. And of course, it did resonate with me. It's very interesting that it's a lot of women that are of my age that are starting to realize that maybe this wasn't the best choice for us to be doing with our bodies by giving it away for free. Anyways, so scroll down here to my favorite part. Okay, so this part here, I was full of shit. Can we not say that that's the best thing ever to discover about yourself that changes your mind when you realize I was full of shit and I need to figure things out and do things better for myself? Because what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, or doing the same thing harder and expecting a different result. Anyway, I told myself that because I could seduce a man, I was powerful. But as Perry says in her book, women can all too easily fail to recognize that being desired is not the same thing as being held to high esteem. Deep down inside, I knew that to be the case. But a defense mechanism, I crafted a man-eater persona. My mantras were rigid. You can either have a career or a relationship, but you can't have both. Intimacy is creepy. Motherhood and children are a trap. Sex is only about power. And then, of course, down here, sex isn't just about power, it's also about intimacy, vulnerability, and trust. And the only time that you can actually obtain that while in the act of lovemaking is when you are with someone that you are 100% vulnerable with and somebody that you 100% trust. Now, I think it's beneficial for women to be in these relationships and having intimacy with people that you can be 100% vulnerable with and you can 100% trust, because believe me, the sex is much better. Anyhow, that's enough about the article here. One of the comments here was just incredible, and I often talk about listening to the older ladies, getting advice from women who've been there, listening to those beautiful gray-haired, silver-haired queens that have been there, done that, made the mistakes, and they're screaming into the void. Come on, guys, we know what this is going to do to you, and what you're doing to yourself is going to not end up well. So here she is here, my friend, not my friend, but I call her my friend, Andrea Rudenko. I'm assuming that's how you say it. And she wrote this big, long, beautiful commentary here. So she's talking about the issues that the essay raises. She said, Bridget's essay brought certain things to mind that I've wanted to say to young women for a long time. I just turned 74, so this lady has lived a full life, 7 decades. She also lived through the sexual revolution, so she's seen the times before, and now she's watched the growth, and she's now experiencing the end result. So I think that's an excellent viewpoint to take, because she's seen it all from the beginning to the end. So I trust her judgment on things. So she says, I just turned 74, so came of the age in the late 60s and early 70s, just at the cusp of the so-called sexual revolution, when the pill made it possible for women to engage in promiscuous sex, and feminist icons of the 70s and 80s steered women into the direction of becoming like men. Graduated high school in 1966. This year represented a clear dividing line between so many cultural phenomena that were dominated by sex in one form or another. That's the free love movement. That's the beginning of telling women to behave like men. In 1966 and before, a young man and a woman needed a period of courtship leading to marriage before sex could take place. And then there was every expectation that sex would lead to children and the formation of a family. In my large high school class of about 300 students, only one girl became pregnant, with the result that she and the boy were required to leave school and get married. Now, thinking about this in modern times, that just seems like it was 100 years ago, but this is a lady that's alive today and telling her our experience. I know a lot of feminists that would lose their freaking minds if that was, because they view marriage and having children as a trap, and marriage and having children as giving up on your dreams. But I have to wonder if maybe that's why marriages and relationships and everything lasted a lot longer then than they do now. They hardly knew each other. They were ridiculed by the community for having no self-control. Their parents wanted to kill them. And I kind of think that parents still feel that way a little bit now, but we're not allowed to talk about it. Honestly. When a parent finds out that their young child, like when I say child, 15, 16 years old, gets pregnant, I haven't had this experience, but that first instinct is like, what the hell? You've ruined your life. I'm not going to talk about what can be done today to get rid of that, but I think that response is still here in parents' minds. Everyone understood the devastating implications, and while the high school students of that era had no fewer raging hormones than young people today, their sexual activity was limited to smooching in the back of the car. They stopped short of having actual sex. Before continuing, I'd like to step back to put certain things in perspective. I'd like to zoom way back in space to a point where we can see Earth as a small, distant blue-white marble. And if we look closely, we can see patches of green. Folks, that beautiful little marble is the only place in the entire known universe where there is life. Sure, the search goes on, yada yada, but to date, there is not one iota of evidence of life anywhere else. Please bring your mind to the fact that the totality of life, from the tiniest microbe to the complexity of the human species, exists only here in this one spot. And that fundamental drive of life is to make more of it. We like to think that we are above our biological needs, and that's one thing I've noticed living through modernity is we've as humans always have thought that we're more than the animals that we actually are, the biological beings that we actually are. We breathe the same air, we have the same reproductive systems, we have the same hair follicles as other species that are very similar to us. So why wouldn't we have the same drives and desires to procreate? Life exists to make more of life. And the fact that life exists in all its entirety, or entirely miraculous given the obvious challenges. In every single spot on the earth, right under your very shoes, life is happening. And if you took the trouble to notice, you would find it amazing, astonishing, and mind-boggling. You are a piece of this life. As humans, we get to participate in life. It is a miracle and a privilege. That is the fundamental biological reason for the existence of men and women and for having sex, to make more life. Now, I do believe that part of being in a relationship and having sex, going back to that intimacy, trust, and vulnerability, in a relationship, a monogamous relationship, your sexual drive does not change after you become reproductive, right? After your reproductive viability ends. It's the foundation of an intimate relationship. And adults, humans that have finished raising their children and their children have moved off in life, they don't want to have any more kids, they still continue to have sex. And a healthy sex life is very important for a healthy marriage and a healthy relationship. So this part here, I kind of question her a little bit, but I mean, she is 74, so I don't know. Hopefully she's still getting down. That would be something to look forward to, because I mean, I'm getting older and I'm kind of hoping that, we kind of continue doing that, but I don't know, maybe kind of gross to think about. Who knows? Anyway, so please show some respect for this incredible gift of life. Realize that the reason you have these raging hormones, these powerful desires to connect with your opposite, is to make more life, to participate in life. If you had a cabbage between your ears, this would not seem complicated. Now, with this availability of contraceptives, you can hold off indefinitely from making more life. You can circumvent nature. You can have sex 24/7 with strangers if you want. You can do it while drinking shots, snorting drugs, and watching pornography. But is that what you really want? Before 1967, when the pill became widely available, men and women generally looked forward to getting married. Why? So they could have sex. In the absence of contraception, children naturally followed. Big families, food fights, barbecues, camping trips,
These are the results of participating life that are the things that people who grew up in that era are the most nostalgic about. Has this rather natural way of living lost its appeal? Or do young people today even see it as an option? I hear young people increasingly say they don't want children. I hear young men talking about getting vasectomies, young women talking about sterilization. The arguments they give for these abnormal anti-life sentiments are entirely divorced from nature. It's as though they don't realize that the consequence of ceasing to make life is extinction. And I can't remember off the top of my head right now who talks about it, but there's a certain subsect of our society right now that is actively self-sterilizing. And all that's going to leave is the extinction of their doctrine and the extinction of their thought process and the extinction of their type of people. Now, this does not make sense to me. Wouldn't you want more of your type people to be moving out into the world? I don't know. To me, it just makes sense. Be fruitful and prosper, right? They also say they just want to have fun. Marriage and children aren't appealing, but the joyless promiscuity of hookup culture is appealing and fun. Where were the role models of this lost generation? At least some of the blame for the state of affairs must be laid at the feet of feminism. The feminist ideology of the 70s and 80s persuaded women that to succeed in life, they needed to be like men. Every bookstore of this era had prominent shelves filled with tomes directed at women explaining how to think like men, dress like men, argue like men, understand about pecking orders and the sports and military influences in the workplace. It was the era of the pantsuit. Women were told, it was also the era of the huge shoulders, which I never found attractive, but if you look back in 80s women's fashion, it was always about the huge shoulders. And I don't know if this ties to the be more like a man, but I'm sure you've seen a woman before. Their shoulders are a lot smaller than men's. So to put that suit of armor on with those huge frickin' shoulder pads, I'm glad that phase is over. Women were told that every business had a glass ceiling that she needed to break. The goal was to become CEO. Women pitted themselves against men in the workplace and against other women too. Let's not forget about that. Somehow it was overlooked that most of these men were leading lives of quiet depression in their paper-pushing jobs, and that maybe corporate America wasn't the ideal environment for a woman looking to make her mark. Women kept on banging their heads against this glass ceiling and complaining about misogyny. This still goes on today. It occurred to very few of them that if they wanted so very much to be a CEO, they could just go start their own company and put their money where their mouths were. There's no headbanging required. This lady's so freaking wise. So after this decades-long war of women against men, we've now arrived at the bizarre state of affairs where women are, in fact, declared to be men, and vice versa, and or none of the above, or all of the above. Well-intentioned people sincerely declare that they cannot define what a woman is, other than to say it's a body with a vagina. The gender ideology wars have become incomprehensible babble, and with many people apparently swearing off sex altogether. And perhaps that's a good thing. Before a woman can have any self-respect, she must at least know she is a woman. Not being a slut has to start there. A body with a vagina has slut written all over it. And to her point, absolutely. If you're not treating yourself holistically as a woman and you're treating yourself as someone with a brain and passion and a heart, and if you believe in it, a soul, with that feminine power, if you just reduce yourself to a fleshlight, that's all you're going to be treated like, right? I would like to make the argument that life is a good thing and that participating in life is good for humans. And I would further argue that men and women, in the old-fashioned meaning of the words, are a good thing, and that sex, carried out joyfully, with love, passion, humor, and commitment, the old-fashioned way, is a good thing. There is a simple cure for those who have gotten too far lost in the labyrinths of their own minds. Nature. Nature knows how to do life in all its diversity. So, if you regret being a slut, or some version of that, get out of your bubble, go for a walk in a wild place, hug a tree, get grounded, and look at how nature is doing life. There are no lies in nature. You will always get the truth. You'll feel better, things will make more sense, and you might turn over a new leaf. Now, I absolutely love that because, I mean, there's some things that I would challenge her on. Some of her views do, to me, seem a little old-fashioned, but I'm going to take the advice of a 74-year-old lady who grew up during the sexual revolution watching all of this happen. Perhaps she even did participate in it a little bit. She didn't give any of her own story. She just gave her own perspective. But she seems fairly wise to me. So that's just a little thing that I wanted to share today. I'm just going to take a look at the chat here. Just a thank you, Osis, for helping me with the volume. I see here, something, Steven Pinker's The Blank Slate and the Modern Denial of Human Nature. It's true. I don't understand why we need to elevate ourselves above who we actually are, who we were born to be. And that whole blank slate, I remember it coming out when I was very young, and it came with a girls can do anything, girls can be anything, girls are just as strong and just as smart and just as fast as boys. And then puberty hit, and the boys that I used to go bike riding with and, play rough and tumble and do climb trees and all that stuff, the boys started getting stronger and faster, and I didn't. And it was a weird moment in my life where I so desperately still wanted to play with my friends, and I still wanted to do the things that they did, but they left me in the dust. Now, that's another story, because I was a huge tomboy when I was growing up, and I am so glad I didn't grow up today, because I like being a woman. Shoulder pads. What's her face in Blade Runner? Yeah, that was the fashion. Ladies wore that. My mom had a jacket. I remember it was like this weird 80s geometric kind of pattern with like a really slim waist, and the shoulder pads probably stuck out a couple inches past her actual shoulders, and she had that short lady 80s weird color haircut that was, very David Bowie-esque, and that was the style at the time. That's what women wore, especially women CEOs and women lawyers and stuff. And you watch the O.J. Simpson trial, the lady lawyer who represented the defense lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, I don't know. But the opposition to OJ, she had these jackets with these frickin' shoulder pads, and they were ridiculous looking. Osa says, boo, respecting women. I think you should. Yeah, I would say Techno Barbarian. I'll take the Rachel with the shoulder pads over the Anamorphous Mutants of 2022. That's the crazy thing that my youngest and I were talking about, was all of the fashion, all of the rotation of fashion styles, because every decade there was always like a new style. I noticed that in the 90s, I think it was, fashion stopped progressing and started regurgitating. And it happened in, I think, music first, with the remixing of old songs into new songs. Then it moved into fashion. Then it moved into movies. It's moved into car design. Everything now that's being designed that's new is a regurgitation of something that I remember when I was a kid. And I find every new season that comes out, I wish I would have kept my old clothes from the 80s because it's almost the same, or my old clothes from the 90s because it's almost the same, or the hairstyles from the 70s. The Zoomers are all wearing the 70s hairstyle now with the part down the middle and the straight hair. I don't know what happened. We just started regurgitating things. Now, that being said, there's lots of new stuff that comes out. Lack of a better example, there's the PT Cruiser that came out, that ugly POS car. But I liked it because it was different, but it still was a regurgitation of a 1950s vehicle. So it just seems like we kind of got caught in a time loop. We're flying along and all of a sudden we just got caught in this weird time loop, and ideas are being regurgitated like crazy. That's funny. Not that I'm giving a salient cultural example. Sean Young. That's the one that was in Ace Ventura. Yeah, you're right, Techno. It is the glue that holds a relationship together. Because all of the biological and the chemical things that happen when you have, I'm trying to say this YouTube friendly, when you have good sex with a trusted and loving partner that you are pair bonded with, different things happen in your brain and in your body. There's that release of the Oxycontin. I'm probably saying it wrong. I'm also not a scientist. There's that release of the love hormone that floods your body and makes you feel well and right with the world. I know the boys call it the post-nut clarity. With girls, it's the desire for the pillow talk and the cuddling afterwards. When you're having promiscuous sex with people that you neither trust or nor intimate with or that value you, you don't get that. You just get the motion. And even if you do, even if the act does come to fruition, you're left feeling empty and sorrowful, especially women. Women need that connection. So it makes me very sad when I see these young girls crying that these boys don't like them and their body count's 200. And it's like, girl, I can tell you exactly why you're not A, enjoying sex, and B, not finding a guy that wants to stick around. It's easy. Marcia Clark? Marcia or Marcia? Marcia. Yep, she's the prosecuting lawyer for the state. Yeah, I hate to bash a fellow woman, but I don't think she did a very good job with that trial. I've been rewatching it with one of the lawyer YouTubers that I watch, and he's kind of going through it bit by bit, not the whole freaking thing, because it was 6-7 months that they went through this. But it's really interesting to look back on it now as an adult and see exactly how that trial was won for him. And there was a lot of mistakes that he made. Oxytocin. Yeah, Oxycontin is... Yeah, sorry about that. Not Oxycontin. That's the bad one. I knew I was saying it wrong. Like I said, I'm not a scientist. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to go over today. I just wanted to highlight my friend here, Andrea Rudenko. I don't even know the woman. All I know is I read her comment and I'm just like, this is exactly what young women should be hearing. And it's interesting how women of a certain age, they start to complain that they feel invisible. Now, part of it is they've made themselves invisible because they've only valued what's on the outside and not developed what's on the inside and started to put that out into the world. And you get to a point as a woman where your outside is, you can still be beautiful and you can still be attractive, but you're no longer sexually desirable, right? And that's a lot of power to hold. It really is. But you come to this point in your life where you stop being the focus of movies, you stop being the focus of music, you stop being the focus of advertising, and it's a really weird place to go through in your life. I don't think anybody in here is as old as I am. Oh, hi, Kissa. Hi, Kissa just popped in. Now I can't remember what I was saying. You get to a point where you see it in movies and in commercials where things are like the world, society is no longer geared about what you want. And it happened to me, I don't know, maybe about 5 years ago, like when I was like 45, like mid 40s. I noticed that nothing is advertised to me anymore except for freaking old lady pee-pee pants and life insurance, right? And or like old people dating stuff, which is really weird. But it was just this moment in my life, and you guys will go through it too. I don't think there's anybody in here as old as me. There might be later on watching this when I upload the stream, but it's just you have a tendency to look around at society and go, what do you mean it's not all about me anymore? Well, girl, it never was all about you, and you should have developed that maybe 20 years ago. But anyway, he says, check my Telegram DMs. But I am going to hop off here pretty quick. I was only going to go for about half an hour because it's, I'm using the big computer here. And it's hubby's gaming night, so I can't take up too much time, but I will check the Telegram. I don't know. Is this a rude thing to do while you're on a live stream? Oh, he sent me baby photos. Oh my God, she's so cute. Thank you. I love baby photos. That makes me so happy. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I wanted to go over. Any of my friends that are in the chat here want to send me some tips and tricks on how I can do this better privately, that would be awesome. I know there's a couple of people in here that actually do streaming, and thank you so much. You know who you are, for helping me. Thank you guys for supporting me, and hopefully this will be a regular thing for me. I do work weird hours, so I can't run on a schedule, but now that I've kind of popped my cherry on live streaming, I think that I'm going to do a little bit more of this. So if anybody had any other questions or anything like that, any comments before I jump off the stream here today, that would be awesome. I can give you guys like maybe another 5 minutes. There's a whole bunch of other topics too that I want to talk about, not necessarily all just about women's stuff, but that's the focus of my channel. So of course that's what I'm going to be talking about the most. But, I do want to talk about relationships and how we go forward from here, because you can never go back. Like the cat is out of the bag, the worm's out of the can, the toothpaste is out of the tube. You can't go back. So how do we go forward from here? And I think I want that to be my focus. Like, what can we do from this point on to at least save the ones that will listen? And I mean, if it's going to be only the people in my life personally that I can pass this on to and hopefully make their lives better, then great. At least I've put my, mark on the world that way. If I can, talk to other people and we can open up a dialogue and maybe give them at least a new perspective to kind of go out and turn over a new leaf, then great. That makes me really happy. But the state of the world right now when it comes to young women and the depression and the medication that's being used and it makes me really sad for the future. And I have 2 daughters and I have a granddaughter now. So I want to do whatever I can to make sure that this is the best world I can leave behind for them. Because in all honesty, I lived through this, I bought into this, and I'm part of the reason why we are the way we are today. Sorry about that. So, oh, she's 15 months old. Oh, yeah, that's my granddaughter is, well, she was born in February. So, yeah, holy crap, she's almost 2. They're so cute when they're that age. I think that's my favorite age. I'm not a baby lady. I being pregnant was fine. Like, it was wonderful, miraculous and everything, but I didn't love it. Having a tiny little baby, I enjoyed it and I loved my babies and it was wonderful and I have lots of great memories, but I don't have the yearning for that. But let me tell you, when they start walking and babbling and you see their little personalities come out, that's my freaking most favorite part because they're so much fun. And then, of course, kind of the 5 or 6 where they start to develop their own ideas and you can have conversations with them. That's freaking fun too, because you get to see their little brains forming and you get to see things through their eyes, and it makes the world a wonderful place. Like, it actually makes the world beautiful again to see the world through a child's eyes. All right. Why can't babies stay small? Because they have to grow up. They have to, have babies of their own. We just talked about that. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Thank you for chatting. This has been a really fun experience, and I do enjoy talking to you guys. So I definitely want to do this again. And if you're not subscribed, which I think most of you guys already are, but if you're not subscribed, just subscribe, click that bell. I have a community page now, which I just discovered, so I can actually make announcements and stuff like that, like I did for today. Hopefully it'll be a little sooner than I'm going live in 10 minutes, but I mean, that's the way my life works, so I'm just gonna have to work around it. So have a wonderful, beautiful, awesome day. I am going to go watch the Conservative leadership race up here in Canada because it's going to be quite profound at who actually takes over the leadership of the Conservative Party in Canada. So we'll see what happens. I am not going to speculate because I don't tell the future. If I told the future, I would be a lot richer than I am right now. So no more old people sex talk. That'll be my next stream. Huh? Good idea. Anyway, on that note, goodbye. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Get outside. Drink some water. And remember, you're more than just your vagina. Or for the boys in the chat, girls are more than just their vagina. Get to know them. They're pretty cool people. Well, I guess the cool ones are. Anyway, talk to you later. Take care.